I sit at a cafe table in Paris, the smoke from my cigarette curling upward like the ghosts of Harlem rising to haunt me, the murmur of French voices around me a distant hum against the storm raging in my mind. It is 1953, and I, James Baldwin, have exiled myself to this city of light, fleeing the darkness that America has etched into my soul since the day I drew my first breath. The espresso is bitter on my tongue, mirroring the taste of memories that refuse to fade. The weight of being black, queer, and alive in a world that demands I diminish myself. My fingers tap the manuscript before me. Go tell it on the mountain. Words poured from the depths of my being. A reckoning with faith, family, and the forbidden desires that have shaped me. Thoughts swirl like a whirlwind. How can I make them see, these readers across the ocean, the fire that consumes me, the rebellion against a society that would rather I vanish than speak? My pen scratches the paper, a defiant act, for in writing, I claim my existence. Can this book ignite the spark that exposes America's illusions? Or will it, like so many of my dreams, dissolve into the void? My journey to this moment began in the crucible of Harlem, New York, where I entered the world on August 2nd, 1924, the eldest of 9 children in a family strained by poverty and piety. My stepfather, David Baldwin, a preacher whose sermons thundered from the pulpit like judgments from on high, filled our cramped apartment with a gospel that promised salvation but delivered only fear. He looked upon me with eyes that saw not a son, but a burden. His disapproval a constant lash that cut deeper than any physical blow. "You ain't nothing but trouble," he would say, his voice laced with the bitterness of a man broken by the white world's cruelties, projecting his own defeats onto me. My mother, Emma Burtis Jones, worked her fingers raw as a domestic, her love a quiet fortress against the storms, her stories of our ancestors a thread connecting me to a heritage of resilience. As a child, I navigated the crowded streets of Harlem, the air thick with the scents of soul food cooking and coal smoke, my wide eyes absorbing the harsh poetry of life, the jazz spilling from speakeasies, the beggars huddled in doorways, the white cops patrolling like predators. Racism struck early, a venom that poisoned my innocence. Teachers praising my intellect but steering me toward menial paths. Neighborhood boys taunting my slight frame and bookish ways. Their laughter a echo of the world's contempt. I sought refuge in books, devouring Dickens and Dostoevsky in the public library. Their world's a sanctuary from the one that confined me. At 14, I preached my first sermon at the Fireside Pentecostal Assembly, my voice soaring with a passion that surprised even me. The congregation's amens a chorus that lifted me momentarily above the fray. "Hallelujah!" they cried. And for a brief moment, I felt the divine touch, but doubt crept in like a thief. The church's fire and brimstone clashing with the stirrings in my heart, desires for men that the Bible condemned as sin. My consciousness awakened then, a turbulent sea. How could a God of love demand I deny the very essence of who I am? High school at DeWitt Clinton in the Bronx sharpened my mind. I edited the school magazine, penned my first stories. My words a rebellion against invisibility. Graduation in 1942 thrust me into a world at war, but my battle raged internally. Odd jobs as a waiter, factory hand, the grind wearing on my body, but my soul expanding amid Greenwich Village's bohemians, where jazz clubs pulsed with life, the air alive with saxophone wails and intellectual debates that mirrored my inner turmoil. I met Beaufort Delaney there, the painter whose studio became my sanctuary, colors exploding on canvases like the emotions I struggled to contain. He taught me to see beauty in chaos, to embrace the artist's role as witness. Yet racism shadowed me relentlessly. Restaurants refusing service, landlords slamming doors, the constant reminder that America saw me as less than human. My thoughts churned like a storm. How could this nation preach democracy abroad while lynching its own at home? I poured my rage into writing. My essay, The Harlem Ghetto, in 1948, exposing the neighborhood's despair. My words a cry that pierced the veil of white indifference. But the pressure built, a volcano ready to erupt. Police brutality in Harlem, the casual violence against black bodies, the suffocating weight of being queer in a world that demanded conformity. I fled to Paris in 1948, my suitcase light with possessions but heavy with hopes. The transatlantic voyage a passage from one exile to another. Paris welcomed me with open arms, the city of light a balm for my wounded spirit. Cafes along the Seine buzzed with philosophers and expatriates, the aroma of fresh baguettes mingling with espresso, the freedom to love whom I chose a revelation. I explored my identity openly, loving Lucien Happersberger, our relationship a sanctuary amid the turmoil, his presence a mirror reflecting my complexities. But homesickness gnawed at me, my mind drifting to Harlem streets, the civil rights stirrings back home that tugged at my conscience like an unrelenting tide. Exile freed my pen. I wrote Go Tell It on the Mountain in 1953, my semi-autobiographical novel a torrent of pent-up emotion, exploring faith, family, and forbidden desire with a rawness that scared even me. Critics praised it, hailing me as a voice of my generation, but I felt the pull of rebellion, my consciousness evolving from personal pain to collective fury, a fury that demanded I confront America's myths. The 1950s tested my resolve like a furnace. The Montgomery bus boycott in 1955, a spark that ignited the nation. Rosa Parks' defiance mirrored my own internal revolt. Her quiet no, a thunderclap against segregation. I returned to America sporadically, witnessing the movement's rise, my thoughts a whirlwind. How could I, an exile, contribute to this holy war? I met King in 1957, his nonviolence a gentle force that moved me. His dream of integration, a vision I both admired and questioned. Love is the key, he said, but I wondered if love alone could dismantle the hatred baked into America's bones. Malcolm X's fire resonated deeper, his unyielding truth a mirror to my rage. Our conversations in Harlem cafes charged with the electricity of shared pain. Yet I grappled with my sexuality, the church's condemnation, a ghost that haunted me. My relationships in Paris, a secret rebellion against both white supremacy and black orthodoxy. My consciousness deepened. I saw the intersections of race, class, and desire. My essay, Notes of a Native Son, in 1955, dissecting my stepfather's death in America's racial poison with a precision that left me exhausted but empowered. The 1960s exploded like a powder keg, and I dove into the heart of it, my pen a sword, my voice a clarion call. I march in Selma in 1965, the Alabama sun beating down mercilessly. State troopers' batons glinting like threats in the distance, my feet aching on the dusty road as troopers charge with dogs and hoses. Thoughts race through my mind. How can I, a writer whose weapons are words, stand against this barbarity? But I persist. The bridge a symbol of the chasm between America's promise and reality. My consciousness burns. King's assassination in 1968 leaves me reeling, his blood on that Memphis balcony a stain on the nation's soul, my eulogy a lament for lost dreams. Malcolm's murder in 1965 had already wounded me, his voice silenced just as it reached its zenith, but I carry their torches in my work. I debate William F. Buckley on television that year, my voice steady as I dismantle his arguments with surgical precision. The American dream is at the expense of the American Negro, I say, the audience hanging on my every word, my thoughts a blaze of indignation. Personal battles rage alongside the public ones, my mind a labyrinth of contradictions. I love Lucien in Paris, our relationship a sanctuary where I explore the forbidden without judgment, but society's gaze, both white and black, stings like acid. My sexuality a rebel act in a world that demands conformity. Depression visits like an old enemy. Nights when I stare at blank pages in my Saint-Paul de Vence home. Whiskey my temporary ally. The Mediterranean's waves crashing below a reminder of life's relentless tide. Yet I press on, my consciousness a furnace. Art must confront, not comfort, must force the mirror upon the unwilling. I visit Africa in 1962, the ancestral soil under my feet stirring a profound awakening. Thoughts of diaspora and identity swirling like dust devils in the wind. Am I American, African, or something indefinable? Back in America, I witnessed the Birmingham bombings, children's bodies mangled by hate, my rage boiling over in speeches that Baldwin himself would deliver with poetic fury. If we, and now I mean the relatively conscious whites and the relatively conscious blacks who must, like lovers, insist on or create the consciousness of the others. Do not falter in our duty now. We may be able, handful that we are, to end the racial nightmare. The Vietnam War adds another layer to my inferno, a conflict I condemn as an extension of America's imperial arrogance, linking it to the civil rights struggle with a clarity that terrifies the powerful. I speak at rallies, my voice rising above the crowds. The children of Vietnam are no less human than the children of the United States. Words that draw FBI scrutiny, their agents lurking like shadows. Hoover's paranoia branding me a threat. My consciousness sharpens. I see the war as racism's global arm, drafting black men to die for a freedom denied at home, a hypocrisy I expose in interviews and essays. Suspense grips me during this time, paranoia whispering that every phone click is a wiretap, every stranger a spy. But I defy them, my typewriter a weapon of resistance, pounding out truths that cannot be silenced. Later years bring reflection and continued rebellion, my mind a tapestry of triumphs and sorrows. I teach at universities like Hampshire College, my lectures packed with students eager for my insights into race, sexuality, and power. Their questions a mirror to my own unending quest. I explore film, directing The Devil Finds Work in 1976. My mind dissecting Hollywood's myths with the same fervor I applied to America's racial illusions. Health falters. Heart issues in the 1980s slow my step, but my voice endures. Interviews sharp as ever. My final novel just above my head in 1979. A culmination of themes that have haunted me. Love, loss, and the search for identity. I die in Saint-Paul de Vence, France, on December 1st, 1987, my body returning to America for burial in Ferncliff Cemetery. But my spirit soars free, unbound by the borders that once confined me. My life unfolds as a fire against the cold night. From a Harlem boy seeking words in the midst of silence to a global prophet whose truths pierced the veil of lies. The civil rights struggles, literary rebellions, personal awakenings, they shaped my soul, a flame that never dimmed, burning with the intensity of one who has seen the abyss and refused to blink. What fires burn in you, I wonder, as my echoes resonate on?